Hey everybody, welcome back to our podcast. Nick, how was the rest of your weekend?
It was good. Got back to school. Partied pretty hard Saturday, but we're back and ready to talk some football.
Oh yeah, so as you saw, our family was all on the Secret Formula, Uncle Billy-O's boat, and we just discussed a bunch of the players, and we sort of left off at the Colts, which is right up your alley. But before we get into that, I just wanted to read off the game prediction update. You and I are actually tied for second right now. We're both at
What?
Yep, we're both at 33 and 29, and Callahan is 6 games up on us at 39 and 23.
Oof.
So he's built
Damn.
himself a commanding lead. You and I are tied, for second. It's a long season, so anything can happen, but he has built himself a commanding lead. Anyways, on to the Colts. Andrew Luck practiced last week. He's going to be practicing this week.
I'm so pumped about that.
Yeah, me. Oh, I have him stashed in one league. I'm pretty excited as well. I actually just traded away Jack Doyle. I lost 3 receivers all in the same week. So I just traded away Jack Doyle to get Martavis Bryant, and I used a waiver on Nelson Aguilar. Anyways,
Yeah,
is there any time frame
that was a good
on
trade
Andrew
for you,
Luck?
but
Yeah, it works out for everyone because the person I traded with was my brother who had been starting Martellus Bennett. So now he gets Jack Doyle, he could play the matchups, and I have someone that could fill in until Devontae Parker comes back. And he's very talented, so hopefully Big Ben can snap out of it, turn the clock back a few years, but we'll see. Anyways, is there any time frame on Andrew Luck? How has he been looking? Any insight?
I don't know. They're kind of they're taking it slow with him, which I get. I don't know. I guess they don't want him re-injuring it. I don't know. Some reporters are saying week 8. I think it's gonna be week 10.
Week
I don't know.
10?
I think they really they know they're not doing anything that special this year, in the playoffs, so they might as well just wait and take it slow with him. So it is what it is, but he'll be better when he comes back.
He's their franchise quarterback. So, question for anyone that has him stashed. Some people might have bailed on this already. If you've made it this far and you have Andrew Luck on your bench, bye weeks started up last week. Any advice for them? Hang on tight, let him go.
Yeah, I hang on tight because he's one of those guys. He's played a lot of football over the years, so he'll be a top 5 quarterback when he comes back. I don't think there'll be any problems with that. And I don't know. I think if you have T.Y. Hilton too, he'll get a big boost. Even though he's been balling out lately, there's a pretty big difference between Jacoby Brissett and Andrew Luck. So if he can do it with Jacoby, I think he's going to do crazy things with Andrew back.
As a Luck owner in one of my leagues, I agree. I am hanging on to him. I'm also 4-1 in that league, so I can afford it. But I do need to free up a roster spot. So for the rest of the week, I'm going to be toying with dropping either Andrew Luck or Phillip Rivers to get that roster spot, which is a bit of a close one. I have Carson Wentz. He's my starter. But I do sort of need to decide, is Luck's top 5 play worth stashing for the next couple weeks? Because Phillip Rivers has been top 12. I think he's quarterback 11 at this point in the year. So letting that go would also, significantly boost somebody's bench. Anyways, while we're touching on the Colts, Marlon Mack did a lot with a little bit of I think he had, 9 touches last week? And he looked impressive.
9 touches for 91 yards, I think. He's good, dude. I've liked him. The thing that makes him so good is Frank Gore and Robert Turbin. They're kind of the same running back, so they run in between the tackles. But he kind of gives them that that change of space speed they haven't had since Joseph Adai. So he could bust out runs to the outside and take them for long. So I don't know if he'll be the starter. Well, I think they're still going to roll with Frank Gore. So I wouldn't call him the most reliable option, just because I don't know the volume he's going to get yet. Because I don't know. He compares himself to like a Jamal Charles or something. That's what they're saying. But like we've only had him in small doses, so you don't know if he could like keep up that. Like they could figure him out, and like when they see he's in the game, like set a bunch of edge defenders on the sides and just know he's gonna go there. So I have to see more of him to know what we're getting.
Now, I know a lot of people follow the handcuff formula. If you're in a tight bind due to bye weeks and had to start one of the Colts running backs this week, which way would you go?
I would still start Frank Gore just because he's going to get the most carries. Based just off that, yeah.
Okay. And I feel like it's a similar situation in San Fran. Matt Breida did a lot last week in Hyde's lack of production, which could have been due to injury. I feel like he's someone definitely to stash. I actually claimed him in one league today. But I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him because, as you said, Hyde, similar to Frank Gore, will get the first crack at it and will definitely still be involved in the offense. I wouldn't feel comfortable starting Matt Breida. If you have Hyde, you probably drafted him high enough where you might not have a better option. But I wouldn't feel comfortable deploying Breida just yet. I'd give it another week or two and see how things play out. Because for all we know, it could have just been Hyde's knee or something flaring up, and he's going to be the bell cow this week. So that's something I'd wait and see. Let's see. Sam Bradford looked terrible Monday night.
He looked awful. That was bad.
Do you think this impacts any of the Minnesota skill players? Because they were producing without him as it was.
Yeah, I don't think he was 100%, so I wouldn't go that far yet. Obviously, losing Dalvin Cook for the year affects them all just because it takes away that element from the offense. But I'll give Bradford another week because he was kind of balling out the first 2 weeks. So I'll give him another week just to see how he plays. Maybe he's 100% this week. So I'll have to go based off that.
If you're Minnesota, it's almost worth resting him this week. I know they're going to be reevaluating Bridgewater soon.
Yeah.
I don't know when he'd be eligible or ready to play, but they need to let Bradford get healthy. As for that backfield, what appeared to be Latavius Murray's job at the start of the game now appears to be Jerick McKinnon's job. He dominated,
I guess so,
the entire second half.
Yeah, that awesome 60-yard play.
If you are a Jerick McKinnon owner, do you feel comfortable playing him? Because they paid Murray a good amount in the offseason. Do you feel comfortable starting McKinnon, or do you think Murray will get the first crack this week?
I don't feel comfortable starting any of them. I'm staying away from that backfield. Because McKinnon had a good game, but you've seen it for years. He hasn't done anything. He's been given that starting job a few times when Adrian Peterson went down, and it never really amounted to anything. And I don't know. I'd have to see more out of Latavius Murray because they didn't really give him too many opportunities last week. So
okay,
I just have to wait another week.
Yeah, I feel like they'll both get touches. Minnesota might ride the hot hand for a week or two and see how it plays out. But I agree, you don't feel great starting either. There was actually, I received notification probably 30, 40 minutes ago that Tyler Eifert might be having season-ending surgery.
Oh, man, that's a mess.
It's a mess. He's had an injury history in the past, and apparently that's in the fold now. Do you think Tyler Kroft is a must pick up at this point? I mean, Eifert owners probably rostered him anyways, but how do you see his fantasy outlook and normal production for the Bengals going forward?
I think he could be a solid starter. Obviously, he's not as good as Eifert is when healthy, but if you're in need of a pickup, I think you could go for him. I think he could be kind of reliable.
He looked good. What was it? 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I think
I think so.
Last week he was on a bye, Cincinnati. So,
no, Cincinnati's on a bye this week.
Oh, they're on a bye this week. Okay.
Yeah, I forget who they played last week.
Mm-hmm. So if you need, that could be a decent pickup. Is there anyone specific that you wanted to touch on? Any insight?
Adrian Peterson, maybe, to the Cardinals.
Adrian Peterson trade.
What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so the Cardinals already cut Chris Johnson. They already said it's Peterson's job. Peterson, I don't think he fit in with the Saints. He fits in better with Arizona. But the thing is, their line is terrible. And one argument that I've heard is, but Peterson ran behind a terrible line his whole career. And while that may be true, his last year and a half to 2 years in Minnesota, he was averaging, I believe, less than 2.5 yards per carry. Got hurt pretty quick. It was bad. So although he did it his whole career, this is not the Adrian Peterson of 2012. This, current day Adrian Peterson is not as explosive. He can't carry the workload. And although I don't think he'll face stacked boxes and he will get more touches, I don't feel comfortable starting him. At least not until I see it. Definitely worth a roster spot, and it is intriguing, but I temper expectations there. And on the other end, I think this frees up a lot for Ingram and Kamara, especially Kamara.
Yeah.
I think at this point you feel comfortable starting both of them on a weekly basis. Do you agree?
Okay. Yeah, I do. I think that was definitely holding them back a little bit. Him still being there and just his name, Adrian Peterson, still in that backfield. But I think they'll find, I guess, he wasn't getting that many carries there, but still those extra carries are going to go to both of them. So I think they'll both benefit. Yeah, but yeah, Adrian Peterson, I don't think he'll do much with the Cardinals. I think it's definitely a lot better of a situation for him than New Orleans was, just because of the competition in the backfield. So I was actually going to drop him this week in most of the leagues that I had him in. But when I found out he was getting traded, I decided to keep him on my bench to see what he has left in him.
It's probably a smart move. Do you think it eats into Ellington's production? I know most of everything he's been doing is catching passes. Do you think he regresses a little?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I mean, Adrian Peterson's not going to be out there on third down, so I don't know if it'll have that much of an impact.
I guess let's take things over to Philadelphia. Nelson Aguilar had a phenomenal 70-plus yard touchdown run, and
he's good at those. He has those big plays.
He's now had 2 or 3 gigantic gains at this point in the season, and statistically, on a point-per-game basis, he's become a top 15 receiver. And although it's kind of fluky, boom or bust, that is a very good offense. Do you think at this point it's safe to say he's surpassed Torrey Smith on the depth chart?
Yeah, I would definitely say he surpassed Torrey Smith because they both have that big play ability. But Nelson Aguilar showing it a lot more. So I definitely say he's the number 2 wide receiver. Obviously, Alshon's still the number 1, but I don't know. If you got to start him, he could be pretty good.
And we heard rumblings of Aguilar taking a leap in the preseason. So it's kind of nice to see it finally happening. It doesn't look like Wendell Smallwood's going to play tomorrow, so I'm expecting a mix of Blunt and Clement again. And Alshon Jeffrey has a much easier matchup this week. He's drawn a lot of tough corners the last month or so. So it would be nice to see if he and Carson Wentz could connect once or twice for a big gain, if not a touchdown this week. On the Carolina side, Devin Funchess has been outplaying Kelvin Benjamin. Who do you think?
By a lot.
Yeah, he has been consistently. So who do you think going forward is the receiver to own in Carolina?
See, their success, both of them, relies directly on Cam, and Funchess has stepped up the last few weeks, but I don't know if I could trust Cam just yet. I would say Funchess is the receiver to own, but I would try to stay away from both of them, just because Cam's been streaky this year, as he's proved like throughout his career. So he's had 2 big weeks, but like I don't know if it'll keep up.
All right, so 2 last things. I know you have class coming up. 2 last things while we're touching on Philly and Carolina. We'll call him Ted. Tight end Ed Dickerson. Ted. Last week, fluke or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fluke. I mean, Matt didn't start him, so I ended up winning the game, but I think it is a fluke.
Matt's a little salty.
I don't know. He had a few big plays. I don't know if he could keep that up. So I'll have to see another week. Obviously, he's not as good as Greg Olsen, but did a good job filling in for last week. But I'll have to keep watching him to see if it stays for the season.
For the most part, I agree. I think he'll get reasonable usage, but don't expect that every week. I think it's kind of like Austin Hooper was week 1. It was, or Tyler Kroft was 2 weeks ago. Just sort of, that's the best you're going to see of him this season, potentially for his career, since Greg Olsen should be back this season. But if you have a need at tight end, it's worth a stash and wait and see approach. Last thing, Eagles, Carolina tomorrow. Who you got?
I'm going to take the Eagles. I like them a lot this year. I think they have, actually both of these teams have 2 of the most balanced rosters in the league, but I like the Eagles. Wentz is phenomenal this year, and I don't know, I'm just going to go with them.
Well, both teams are, I believe, 4-1 at this point.
4-1. They both are. It's a good game.
I'm going to separate this tie between us and go with Carolina. Although I think Philly's the better team at this point, I think their defense is banged up, and Carolina's defense has been pretty formidable so far. Plus Carolina's home. So I'm going to roll with Carolina on Thursday. And you get to class. You get to class, mister.
All right. Yes, Father.
Good seeing you. I'll post our picks either Friday or Saturday, as always. And good luck setting your lineups.
All right. Cool. Be good, guys.
See ya.